All right. So we have a good picture here. I'm going to give an overview here in this YouTube video, talking to my heartless father. Of course, for years I've been talking about trying to get through to my mother. So yeah, this is not the time for my life story. But his age would be about 76. So they're both in cognitive decline. I would, in fact, call them both mentally ill. There is a disturbing, above average level of cognitive dissonance that they both are holding in their mind. What's interesting about both the mother and the father is their exceptional ability to be professional victims and to create a false image of themselves to people around them that they have it together, that they're good at leadership or some sort of bullshit. Um, so I did record this. And for the last year or so, through the various newsletters on Substack, I've been trying to get people interested in hosting a talk by me, of course, where I talk about my book, about the solar flares and their connection to World War III and the unrest taking place, including wide scale demonic possession. And I'm not going to do a long speech. We're here. People are trying to enjoy themselves. I'm going to be real clear here. I'm going to expand on this in some form of literature because a lot of people just don't listen. When we talk about hypocritical people and the type of card I've been dealt with these two types and society in general and their families and these various cultures at war with each other, we are dealing with some very, very crazy people that, in fact, are more like each other than they would admit. So that's one thing. The mother and the father, more like each other than they would like to admit, as far as their master manipulation tactics that they learned from their family, yet they're supposedly from two different cultures that are at odds, but they're two different sides of the same coin of authoritarianism. They are authoritarians. So that's the first thing that I'm going to say. This father, since 2004, and you would think that I would be able to brag about it, but I can't. He's been working for the United States government in some capacity or corporations involved in translation work. And I think at some point it was high level. And it was real sad because the whole war on terror thing, like there was already a divide between us. There was already abuse issues. He was already a psychopath. There was already alcoholism issues. There was already crazy person issues, just like with my mom. And so with 9/11, I'll tell you, it wasn't just like regular society where a lot of people became duped and took the money. They became part of like just basically, this whole war on terror. We had the whole cult of personality surrounding these, various commentators, people like Glenn Beck and others. And then, of course, my father. For years, I would describe him as Darth Vader, similar to the movie series Star Wars. Basically, a battle between the light and the dark, and this being consistent, or as I would say for a while, archonic. And then with the mother, we have the alien worship, we have the screaming, we have this, that, and the other. We actually have with both Aziz and Carrie parallel behaviors that don't seem to make very much sense. Unless, of course, they're being controlled by a demon. Let me give you a couple of examples. Both of them have the psychosis that it's normal, that it's sane, that it's rational to take a kid from where they're from and enroll them in school after school after school after school. Also, both of them found it sane in their consciousness to refuse to teach me self defense, to ignore the assaults that went on through school, and both the father and the mother would blame me in some way, shape, or form for being punched in the head. Now, that's unique. That's not exactly winning the lottery. That's like a curse to end up with two parents like that. And as far as I'm concerned, parents like that deserve to be in an astral prison together up in space, like something out of Star Wars, where they got to work out their own racism and hatred and what they did to me when they hooked up. The world should promote responsibility when parents from different places bring in somebody into the world that's talented and they try to F up that child before the world and its teeth and its ethno state agenda has a way. So they were the first to be abusive, the mother and the father. And like the world, they fail to see how somebody different than other people can have intelligence, can have superpowers, can have intelligence. And neither parent that I sent that book to about the connection between the sun and the wars said a fucking word. And so they want to sit there like crazy people on a high horse at 60 and 70 after their years and years of privilege of living through the 1960s, 1970s, 1980s, 1990s, and basically benefiting from that type of a world. They're not appreciative, nor do they, on any level, fear God, essentially. Nor are they remorseful. So as I'm listening to this guy, name my father, and I'm talking to him because he's always been, typically drunk. I'm wondering, are you drunk or are you on pain medication? Because he sounds like he's like, "Hey, man, bro, it's your dad. Relax, bro. You're loved, bro. Anything I can do." Are you on opiates? What's your deal? Are you high up in the clouds? Are you getting laid? Are you having a steak dinner? What's wrong with you? I need a drug test right now. That dude was on second level. Yo, what's up, bro? Everything is wonderful. Where have you been? And that's scary, guys. That's sad to see both your mother and your father not only in a state of moral collapse, but cognitive collapse and physical collapse when they never loved you to begin with. And their last days on earth, they're going, "Where have you been, son? Where have you been, son?" Calling you for years, sending you my podcast for years, telling you what I've been going through for years. I mean, this is crazy, man. It is like a matrix simulation where it's like those parents took on some sort of soul agreement with the devil just to take me off the path, just to fuck with me. And that's ultimately what's going on here in this matrix. Star Wars, Soul Wars, Solar Wars. It's all tied together. He called me from Germany in 2009 on a military army base, drunk as a skunk. This is your father. Shut the fuck up. Click. That's 2009. Here we are in 2026. It's been 17 years since then. Shit's hitting the fan. He's like, huh? Everything is wonderful. Everything is wonderful. I'm sorry. Everything is wonderful, bro. Your sister's doing good. She graduated from law school. Come home, bro. Come home. Whoa, bro. You need to put that down. You took too much, bro. Took too much. It's real sad. It's real sad. I hope my mother sees this. And she's like, "You need help. You need therapy." Let's move on to her. This crazy person would be the last person you would want to call when your neck's being crushed by a gang member. Like, call your mother before we kill you. Just go ahead and kill me. I don't need to hear from her before I die. She's just going to make it worse and say, "It's my karma. I deserved it." And that's what she did when black people punched me in the face. She sat there with her black boyfriend in 1989, pointing the finger at her child and said, "It's your karma. You're being beat up by black kids." Folks, I don't know how to tell you that. That's a racist white mother. And the fact that that's legal in America to torture your kid just because they're different and have the right to take them away from your father? No, 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 no. Some rights in America shouldn't be there. And that's what I'm getting at. At least I'm spiritual and psychic. At least I'm a decent guy who's trying to warn the world about World War III. Other people out there, they're out for blood because they've been hurt. And what you are is a society who keeps kicking dogs and kicking dogs and kicking dogs and kicking dogs and laughing at them while you kick their dogs and while you make my cat go away. And what I'm saying is stop doing that because if you look around here, these people are taking it quite well. But if you look at LA, Portland, and everywhere else, it is unraveling into Dante's Inferno. And then, of course, people want to blame the parents, and now I'm on one. How can you blame the parents when the parents aren't even parents? They're still kids in the brain, in the membrane. You got to look at the system that is by design creating kids having kids where real men and women are not having kids at all. Not because they shouldn't, but because, if they reach a level of maturity, maybe they're busy doing real things other than having kids. So we have just a lot of kids coming. Get ready. We're in solar maximum, so we're in a baby boom. And so I got to sit there and start going through the news as to what's happening. What's happening in Michigan, as the police chief says, August 18th with John Lang, a COINTELPRO psychological operation brought to you by the New World Order, part of January 6th, pardoned by Donald Trump, then goes to Texas, calls for violence, not arrested. Now he's going to Michigan, and the mob is building, blaming the others. And the mob is building, blaming the others. And they're promoting violence against women, going into people's homes, dragging them out by the hair, and lighting them on fire. This is Ireland today. This is what's happening right now. I predicted this. This is happening in the UK, in Norfolk. People under demonic mind control, following Facebook, are surrounding the shawarma restaurants, and they're getting ready to destroy them. That is a species turning into a horror film. Those aren't humans. Those are demonic entities who think they have the right to beat up women and then project onto under people that they're the threatening ones. These are people who are naturally born hateful. And it's in the bloodstream, obviously, because you're not allowed to do that. You can't hurt somebody's wife. You can't hurt somebody's girlfriend. And there's so many people who think I'm a bad person because I'm bringing light to this. And God knows. God see those people who are judging me for warning about this epidemic of violence towards women. There's something so rotten in our DNA as humans that what I'm saying is offensive to this world, offensive to my mother, offensive to my father, offensive to all these people. They call me the loser. They're the losers. They're the ones at war with God and the gifts that God gave me. Everything happening in your world right now, I warned you about 20 years ago. This is not a time for laughter at a prophet. What you have right now in the system of white supremacy is people that worship people that look like them as psychics and gods that lie to them every second of every day just because they look like them. That's the disease that's in this blood, in this society. Just because somebody might look like them and look like somebody like AMTV, Chris Green, who I used to work for, they'll sit there and listen to them lie over and over and over just because they look the part. Whereas I can be so correct, so right, number one on the planet for discussing the solar flare influence over war cycles, civil unrest, teen takeovers, Amber Alerts, everything. It's going to take a new society of women that aren't brainwashed by technology to realize that scientists like me that can connect the dots are not worthless and our speeches need to be heard by millions of people. You need to start taking personal self defense seriously because your world has made a joke out of it. And now the joke's on you. And as you start to see the collapse in Dallas, you're going to start to see criminals and human traffickers transport themselves, as I predicted, all across the nation, working for China, working for the cartel. As you see your currency go to zero, you will see your safety go to zero. That's not me cursing you. That's me warning you. And I'm now 22 years into warning you about human trafficking. There is nothing but evil inside a human being who wants me to be quiet about this. We have a problem with misogyny, folks, in America. Women who don't care about women being trafficked. We have a misogyny epidemic where people think that it's cool to isolate people. And so you need to realize, as I told you, you keep pushing good men out of the city, you're going to have nothing but bad men ruling over you. Human traffickers, gangsters, bad boys, right? It's going to be the ultimate law of attraction, and you're going to get it, and you're going to lose everything. And they are going to destroy the economy, and they've been planning this for years. All the data breaches, everything, all in the hands of human traffickers. And as predicted, fake ICE agents kidnapping women, shoving them in cars, and society is so numb from pornography and what they've watched that they don't care. They're actually going to go after me and make calls against me and do harm to me because they are bought and sold by that which we call Satan. Don't ever trust a Satanist. Don't ever trust a human being who will say these forms of human beings are okay, but these form of human beings we're not going to speak for. My recommendation is the same recommendation I gave people 6 years ago. If you want to survive what's coming and get in God's graces, create as much distance as you can from anybody who killed somebody or raped somebody or is promoting it. By the way, have I talked about spending 20 years as a service employee in fine dining? No, probably don't. People don't think about that. People don't probably don't think that I've worked at Ruth Chris Steakhouse for 5 years. I know what it's like to be thrown away just because you're not a good worker. We have an epidemic, folks, of people not knowing that race-based exclusion is back in black, folks, all across America. I'm the ultimate worker. Nobody's faster than me. Nobody's faster than me at washing dishes. What it is they want to make sure that nobody with a certain type of consciousness or attitude is working amongst you. You must be faced with the truth. You're a fascist society that won't hire, talk to, date, be kind to people with certain ideas and ideologies. That's what it's about. While elevating tweakers, abusers, and people who hate women. That people who literally are abusers keep being elevated. You look at the types of guys that these women are with that are homeless here. They're all low lives. There's no difference between the woman who's regular and the woman who's homeless and the desire for the low life. Period. So let's get back on topic, right? Because I'm just feeling the vibe because I'm so psychic I can pick up on everything around me for several miles. So essentially, we have the situation where I'm going to have to go through the news of what's happening, and as Quarterflash said, "Heart on my heart, swallow my tears," and basically not have too much compassion because I know what I went through in Texas, handing out my card, telling people after 2025 they're going to start attacking you people that look like this. I know you don't believe me. I know you're saying that Allah says I'm a sinner because I'm not of your religion and you don't believe in psychic divination. Too bad, honey. Watch your back. These people around you are planning your grave and they won't care once they come after you. Now the signal is sent from the president to others. They're overtaken now by these technologies and they think they have the right to kick in people's doors and drag people around by the hair and call themselves patriot. Well, they post another Mel Gibson Braveheart meme on Facebook. They literally think they're heroes for surrounding a woman and knocking her out with a glass. They don't understand that earlier on, when I warned you about China invading and I warned you about Russia invading, and I told you what they would do here in America in 2007, 8, 9, what they're doing now through Facebook, they're like creating animosity to where, as the world builds up with its nuclear weapons, North Korea, all this stuff is going to be part of that. What I told you for 15 years, 20 years, the case against America. And Leon Nagant, the LGBT psychic that I warned about, he was sharing it from his perspective, from the dreams that God showed him, that there's going to be this Antichrist coming. Okay, that's going to be, of course, bringing OnlyFans for everybody. It's going to be a commandment. But this Antichrist, do as thou wilt system that's coming, that's going to use China and Russia, is going to be just unleashing lots of pent up hatred on us as Americans. And I'm the one guy who's been talking about this for years while Alex Jones sold you down the river, while Donald Trump sold you down the river, while AMTV sold you down the river. And because they look the part to this society, they can be trusted, whereas I'm not trusted, yet everything I said would happen is happening. Down to a T. We haven't yet seen the invasion of America, but I told you the two main prophetic signs was another million people killed and mass internment concentration camps. And I gave you that warning before ICE was doing anything that it's doing. So all the puzzle pieces are set. This literally can happen at any point in time for the first missiles to start coming at the United States from Russia. And Dallas, Texas, which I got out of that abusive situation, it's one of the target cities. So is Houston. So is New York. So everything seems like it's on schedule. It still could go on for a few years, but I'm telling you, God apparently doesn't want me to be in a bunch of relationships with people right now because there's going to be a bunch of heartbreak when I look at the news one day and I see what happened. And so God has isolated me for a number of years and I've been fighting it. I've been fighting it. I've been crying over it. I just lost my cat. I've been without my cat for 3 weeks now. All because of those people in Crestone targeting me and calling the cops on me and making shit up just to drive me out of their town. And then as I talked about what happened in Crestone, my mother can't say anything because she's into that new age alien worship stuff too. So she's going to side with them. And then my father, he sounds like he's drunk or he's on medication. He's talking to me like I'm an 8-year-old. And so I'm just going to end this video now and stop talking and listen to some music. I'm taking this quite well. As I just said in a recent post, that's a very long podcast. I'm doing great actually. That's my point. That's what I'm trying to tell you. I'm a highly intelligent, highly articulate person who's been hit way too many times in this world by these people. They have failed to take me down, you know, and that's it. I'm at Riverside Park in Salida. I'd like to, I'm so shadow banned right now. I'm talking into a void. I've had to leave my main channel. Not that anybody listening cares. Nobody cares. I'm just talking to myself. I've had to leave my main channel of 16,000 subscribers. I'm on a brand new channel in a day and age where your face is your barcode and you're not in the old west of starting a new channel with new people. It feels literally like the end. And I've been doing this for a long, long time. And we look at what I'm doing with now compared to 10 years ago when I was in Portland, Oregon, where I'm from, where I was on TV, where I would do these videos. There was engagement with people in the comments, even if they weren't helping me. And there was psychological emotional support. There was what's called engagement. Okay. And then now over on Facebook, the same Facebook page that I've had completely shadow banned, completely muted. I've been so right about the things that I've talked about. That's what people don't understand. On all these different platforms, it's really now just a weapon or a knife that seems pointed back at me. And the internet very much is, we got a great sunset right now coming up. The internet was presented to be something that it's not. And we thought we had the right. We thought we had the freedom. We thought we had the opportunity. Well, some of us did, but a lot of people don't. And we're living here in 2026 with this multi-tier internet system with a lot of people like, "Ooh, you just started a TikTok channel. Get some followers." People have no idea the types of things that go into whether somebody gets tread or whether somebody doesn't get tread. And also, if you're somebody like me and you're a spiritual sensitive, you don't want to have a bunch of filthy people on your shorts with a bunch of crazy thoughts and crazy comments. If you're a teacher or trying to aspire to be a teacher of deep thoughts, not conspiracy trash, you want to work with a group of people that you're going to get to know and see them mature and grow up like they're your effing kids. And that's what's so heartbreaking about this world. It's not like I had to find a way to do it or force it. There's so many ways that it's set up for kids to be brainwashed, either by their parents or by the system. And through the system brainwashing, it's not good indoctrination, it's bad indoctrination, a level that I can't even talk about and won't talk about now. So there's like this whole demonic door open to hell with relation to what the kids can see. But when you talk about like what they should know to survive the future, what they should know to defend themselves, what they should know to stay out of a bad relationship, what they should know on this level or the other. These, unfortunately, are things that somebody learns on the individual level through deep study, through intention, by intending to seek the truth. Now, if somebody isn't intending to seek the truth and they're just on a hamster wheel of what mom set out and the system set out for their partner through Hollywood, through other things that they look at on the internet, then they're then what's called a prototype personality and they're thus programmed. And right now, that sense is real strong from the current society. It's a group of people that are basically people with an operating system similar to a computer. And computers with specific operating systems are going to reject other software programs. Anyway, back to my parents. One person was like, "Oh, be nice to your mom this, your mom that." And I'd ask him, "Have you sent your mother thousands of podcasts over the years? Yes or no? Did your mother receive millions of dollars after her father passed? Did your mother grow up with a silver spoon in her mouth?" It's a simple yes or a no. So we're not all on the same side. We haven't had all the same experiences. My mother had a lot of opportunities to raise me right. My father had a lot of opportunities in this world to teach me about his culture. And then I would hear about incidents of assaults or racism that the father experienced in Portland during the Desert Storm area. But imagine somebody like my father being so selfish that he'll talk about those things and those things will be important, but he'll never actually consider what his son went through, assaults his son experienced, or police harassment. And that's what I'm getting at. I don't have the opportunity of any really going home. These people say these things like just be nice. My mother would try to get me on the phone in 2022 and 2023. And after years of not talking to her, and she would just start talking incessantly about herself and, a 60-year-old taking ballet, doing nothing but ballet, still basically being a 15-year-old, still trying to be a royale. And that's what I'm getting at. Like I've had conversations with them in recent years and they sound like children now. That's what was concerning about hearing from my father. And it wasn't the first time that I noticed that, like, cognitive impairment. And this is a person who has a master's degree. This is a person who has translated major projects and documents for the United States government and various corporations. And he's made plenty over the years to help his son out who's from here. And so I'm just sitting here like, what is this matrix? What is this simulation? Because no matter how much I've tried to help those people, they're not accepting from the father on down. And then you got the mother's family. By the way, I got a cousin named Anna, and then I talked to her briefly on Facebook like a last year, and her father died. My uncle Bruce, he unfortunately got into meth in the 80s. And then I have another uncle named Philip. So these people, when I was born in Aurora, they weren't very impressed. They weren't very happy. They weren't very nice. And with Philip Nagel, there were, I guess, allegations that he was making out of the gate when I was like 3 that freaked my mother out. My mother and my grandfather knew I was innocent, but there was basically my uncle Phil possessed by some sort of a demon, basically attacking his nephew. It was very troubling to my grandfather, it was very troubling to my mother that they saw this, but that type of demonic possession where somebody like hears voices in the head and they don't realize it, then they start accusing people of, things that they didn't do just so the state will take them away. People are still that way now. In fact, they're more that way now during solar flares, you know what I mean, than ever before, which is why it's not healthy and smart for somebody like me to drink, do drugs, be promiscuous with trashy women, or anything that's going to lower the armor of God. So I am an anomaly. I am an anomaly, whether I'm living in a house in Dallas, Texas, or whether I'm living in a tent in Salado, Colorado with my cat missing. The message is essentially the same and is rejected wholesale. Okay. We're actually living in the twilight zone where our own parents and our own community and our own nation and our own homeland has turned on us in favor of bread and circus. There is no going back now. Okay. We're on our way to the Mad Max reality, right? Where they're going to continue to see these evil people in this society. Check it out on the internet. 1 in 3 people will be taken away by your fascist government, and you live in a little town where people are having a good time at other people's expense. Enjoy, have a cigar. You're going to go far. You're going to fly high. You're never going to die. They're going to love you. Those are lyrics from actual hippies by Pink Floyd before you all took the check, took the microchip, took the jab, voted for Trump, sent your kids to the military, so on and so forth. I knew these days were coming. All those years of working at Ruth Chris Steakhouse, all those years of working at places where the steak was $75, all those years of working so hard, and people live in the mythos. If you work really hard, if you just keep your nose clean, maybe you'll get promoted. It's really hard if you keep your nose clean, and then you have the reality of people being fired 5 years to the day by a actual pedophile. By a actual pedophile. Fired by a pedophile. Fired by a pedophile. Not once but twice, but multiple times. We're an Epstein nation where these people are professional liars. They are liars. These people are professional liars. People don't want to work. People don't want to blah, 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 blah. They are professional liars who have helped bring in the race-based exclusion system where these places and these jobs and these companies can call the police on anybody who's the wrong color, anybody who's annoying them, and 86 them with the power of the law. That's the new America. That's what they're doing. And people who hallucinate, who have schizophrenia, are in position of authority, and women are killing men at an alarming rate, and they've just gotten started. It's going to get worse. The misinjury, the hatred, the roundups, the human trafficking, everything. We're in hell. Congratulations. And see, we've had an opportunity here on earth to go upwards. But I tell you, many people are going to be going downwards and be going from 2 legs to walking on 4 legs, while others like me, hopefully, will be going upwards, and we will be escaping the human condition through good deeds, through prophecy, through, obeying the commandments. And I'm telling you, my dad hasn't been called to do anything. My mother hasn't been called to do anything for anybody. They're sitting there thinking that their allegiance to the Matrix is the very thing that's gonna save them in the end. But their allegiance to the Matrix, their allegiance to the grid, their allegiance to an arrogance that they have a degree, it's all gonna haunt them in the end. That's all for now. Solar Gnosis, Solar War and Gnosis on YouTube. It's a good place to do some podcasts.